Just a heads up, this review of Karppi, called Deadwind in English, will be somewhat of a rant. Karppi is the main character of this show, a female detective, and I guess they figured that wasn't very marketable to an English-speaking audience. And look, this show is fine. There's nothing obviously wrong with it, but I found some reviews of this show that I want to use as an opportunity to talk about an extremely poorly thought out fast food kind of opinion to foreign material that I think is becoming extremely common. This entire channel is dedicated to reviewing foreign films and TV shows because there's a lot of good stuff out there. That's why I started making these reviews. But even I don't for a second claim that everything foreign is by definition good. And I think that a lot of English speakers, critics, bloggers, YouTube channels, etc., try to shortcut their way to sounding clever by doing just that. Deadwind, it's Finnish. Finland is kind of like Scandinavia. This show must be like The Killing or The Bridge. Blog post published, video published, no thought necessary. This show is not The Bridge or The Killing, and it certainly is an Icelandic masterpiece trapped. Yes, it has some of the elements. There are a few tense moments. I liked the protagonist. She's a good actress. She's interesting enough to have kept me watching. Then there's the cinematography. A lot of Nordic shows have a certain look to their shots, and that's the case here as well. Also, the editing and the music is extremely competent. They love a good-looking title sequence, especially from Scandinavia. And in my opinion, where this show particularly shines is the theme music. Not necessarily the score itself, rather the theme of the show that is heard over the titles. Border Town also had excellent music, so the Finnish shows are really smashing it in this element, though I'm sure that the Danish composers of the Border Town score would like me to mention that they are in fact Danish. So to look at the trailer of this show and even the whole first episode and the setup, you think this has got what it takes. This could be Finland's version of The Killing. All the elements are there. And that's exactly where most people stop thinking about it. People like, for example, Rebecca Patton from the website Bustle, author of tons of high-quality articles and related material like, yes, you can stream Winter Love Island. So she's written an article about Deadwind because, yeah, I guess it makes sense given her body of work. It wouldn't be SEO spamming at all. Where the opening line of this article is, it has become somewhat of a tradition for Netflix to bring Scandinavian programs to its streaming platform. We are one line into this article and already, what are you talking about? It is not tradition for Netflix to bring a TV program to its streaming platform. That's its entire business model. It's its reason for existence. What else are they going to do? And as for the Scandinavian thing, no, actually, Netflix doesn't have very much Scandinavian material when we compare it to, say, Stan, which has The Bridge. If you're not familiar, The Bridge is like the Scandinavian show. Netflix doesn't have that. They don't have the Danish version of The Killing. They don't have Iceland's Trapped. How is it tradition for them to bring Scandinavian material to their streaming platform? You don't know what you're talking about. This mess of keywords, words, calling itself an article was published in such timely fashion that it came of no surprise to me that when I read the article, I find Rebecca has not actually watched the program. She's watched the preview, and then the day after the premiere of the show on Netflix, published an article about it. The show's stark landscapes, musical finish, yes, I see what you did there, and gripping whodunit plot sound like a recipe for success. So Nordic noir fans will be clamouring for a second season of Deadwind. So to say that it sounds like a recipe for success is to say that you don't actually know yet. So how could you possibly know that Nordic noir fans, i.e. me, will be clamouring for a second season? Because I'm telling you what, I've now watched this show, I'm not clamouring for a second season. But will it be coming back? The short answer is most likely, but it's too soon to know a specific date. Yeah, it's almost like you publish this article to get good matches on Google rather than, forming a proper opinion about it. And then we have this gem. But this nomination shows that Deadwind resonated with Finnish audiences and will likely appeal to American fans too. No. You're missing the point of a foreign show. If American audiences want something different to American TV, they go and watch something that is not from America. Why would this automatically appeal to American audiences if it has already proven successful in Finland? That doesn't even make sense. The whole point of these shows is that they're not like American shows. This paragraph is the one where Rebecca actually admits to not having seen the show. Speaking of the murder victim, the trailer depicts a woman wrapped in plastic. What other crime show does that sound like? I don't actually know. You might have just told me. And although it's not evident how he died, it will likely be revealed over the course of the series. Yeah, that's generally how they go. So while it's not clear when audiences will be getting more Deadwind, they can rest assured that it's coming back for round 2 in Finland. Well, before you said you weren't sure if there was going to be a season 2. This means Netflix will likely put it on their streaming platform eventually. Yeah, because that's tradition, right? You know, their business model. But until then, fans can catch up on any number of Nordic thrillers, including Bordertown, The Killing, and The Bridge. Yeah, but The Killing and The Bridge aren't on Netflix, so no. And we close the article with, and Deadwind looks just as compelling and addictive as its predecessors. After all, no one does brooding crime shows like the Scandinavians. On that very last point, I can agree. There is something special about Scandinavian crime shows. However, technically, Finland is not Scandinavia. It's a Nordic country, but not Scandinavia. The language is completely different to the other Nordic countries, and they have quite a different culture. And in this case, when you say it looks just as compelling as and addictive as its predecessors, no. You should have watched the show first, because I've now watched the show, and it's not nearly as addictive and compelling as its predecessors. They're not even predecessors. I am going to get to my thoughts on the series, but just to show you that I'm not picking a single article to highlight this problem, let's look at what this blogger has to say. He watches a lot of crime series, but even he doesn't seem to be able to distinguish between mediocrity and greatness. This article is a lot more in depth. At least this guy has actually watched the series. However, he does say, what's good about it? Pretty much everything. Well, no, pretty much some things, the bits that were in the preview. He mentions Rebecca Martinsson, which I didn't even know was a series, but I've read one of the books and it was genuinely the worst Swedish book I've ever read. Deadwind feels like it's the real deal. Yes, feels until you finish the second episode. Talking about the main character Karppi, she's a potent mix of Saga Norén and Sarah Lund. She dresses in a similar way to Norén and carries herself like the Swedish detective and has an equally brusque manner, although has no autism or Asperger's. Okay, first things first, we don't refer to Asperger's anymore. There's no such thing. It's just all autism spectrum disorder, and what used to be called Asperger's is now just low-level autism spectrum disorder. So a person cannot have one or the other or both. It doesn't work like that. They're not two separate things. Asperger's is no longer a thing that we refer to. It's just low-level ASD. Secondly, if you are going to write Asperger's, and again, one of those words would have done, maybe look up how to spell it first. And she also has an obsessive streak that matches Lund. Well, that's actually just a crime show trope. That's just all crime shows. That's not a Nordic thing. This line is really interesting. After talking about some of the kind of mini storylines that are in this plot, it says, it packs a lot of Nordic noir bang for your buck. Yes, that's exactly the problem, you see. They haven't got a well thought out plot. They've just got this grab bag of things that they think dark crime shows need. You know, they've like childhood trauma, I think it needs a bit of that, and other things that I won't name so I don't get demonetized. What's bad about it? Not too much, yeah, I guess, aside from the fact that it's quite boring and doesn't really make any sense and the mystery isn't very compelling. You could also argue that the showrunners have cherry-picked the best of Nordic noir and followed a template a little bit too closely. Yes, see, thank you. How do you write that sentence, which is precisely the problem with this show, and then conclude that it's a really good show? If you're searching for something to fill a bridge-sized hole, Deadwind doesn't quite have the same intangible stuff that the bridge had, but it's not a million miles behind. No, it's not a million miles behind. It's about 612 miles behind. So to the people out there writing and talking about Nordic noir, if you're going to do that, do it properly. If you want a keyword spam on your entertainment news site like Rebecca Patton does, do it with, I don't know, Brooklyn Nine-Nine or whatever shows you actually do watch. Okay, so that's the end of my rant, and you've sort of gotten an idea of what I think about this show. Deadwind, yes, it's okay. If you want something like the others, then it sort of satisfies that on a superficial level, but don't expect it to be like Trapped or The Bridge or Nobel. It's not. The solution comes out of nowhere. There's no way you could pick it except to just guess, and it makes the rest of the investigation sort of irrelevant. See, this is why I started this channel. Too many people out there are just pretending to have conversations about this stuff because they think it makes them look smart. I want to actually talk about the shows. which ones are good and why they're good. Not just, oh, that's from Scandinavia, that's kind of in right now, isn't it? It must be cool. So those are my thoughts on Deadwind. Yes, it's technically Nordic noir, and yes, you can even fairly place it in that category in terms of cinematography and music and sort of broodiness, but it's nowhere near the level of The Bridge or Trapped or even Nobel. It's better than Borderliner in my opinion, maybe even getting as close to being as good as The Killing Season 1, but not Seasons 2 and 3. Everything else is just riding on the coattails of better shows. In my top 10 foreign TV series, which you can watch right here, Finland is the only one of the 5 Nordic countries that did not get a spot. I think we can see something really good from them soon, given their level of cinematography, editing, and music. They've got everything covered except for the right script. So hopefully we'll get a series that hits it out of the park very soon. These are my honest reflections on the state of Nordic noir and some brief thoughts on Deadwind. I don't know, do you think I'm being too harsh on people who don't specialize in reviewing this kind of stuff? Let me know. I reply to every comment personally. If you like this, then you'll be pleased to know that this channel only reviews foreign language TV shows and movies. So make sure you subscribe to see more of these coming hopefully every week. Thanks to everyone who has done that recently and moved this channel past 100 subscribers, especially since a lot of you did so in a time that I wasn't uploading regularly. I do apologize for that. Also, if you like languages and language learning, maybe you're learning Finnish, then check out my other channel, Days of French and Swedish, where I talk about a way to incorporate that into your life and make it possible for you to do and everything. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.